Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DeLRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell a friend. And also, I'd like to remind people, if this is your first time watching the channel, then please do me a favor and hit the bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. I was recently in Las Vegas, and I ran into a young man, and he recognized me. He said, "Yeah, you know, you the guy from YouTube, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Cool." He said, "What do you think in relation to Tupac joining DeathRow versus Suge being the president of DeathRow and Harry O being the guy who initially he said put it all together," and I was like, "What do you mean put it all together?" And so he explained to me what he was saying, and it spawned me to make this video, if you will. So check this out. A lot of people like to say, well, if it wasn't for Suge Knight's lawyer David Kenner, you know, going to get Tupac and so on and so forth, and you know, helping get Tupac out of jail on an appeal and all of these things. You know, people like to credit Suge Knight for that, you know what I mean? And saying it was Suge Knight's relationship with David Kenner and so on and so forth, right? But the young man's question, you know, spawned a thought. And I had thought about it before, but I really didn't think about it from the perspective in which he had said it. And so we got to go all the way back. We got to go all the way back. We got to go all the way back before Suge and Dre had their situation going on in regards to Eazy-E and what had happened with them. We have to go back a little bit further than that, until like the late 80s, if you will, when Michael Harry O. Harris was doing his thing, right? Because if it's not for Michael Harry O. Harris doing his thing and becoming who he was, and the reason why I say who he was, because he's no longer that same person that he was back then. He's made a transformation as far as I can see. I'll let you be the judge of that for yourself. But as far as I can see, right, who he was. Now, but we're going to deal with that effectively. So Michael Harry O. Harris was a major league, a street guy. You understand what I'm saying? And so in doing what he did, and being arrested and later being incarcerated, right? We got to first look at who Michael Harris's lawyer was. His lawyer was David Kenner, right? So now, if Harry O is not in the streets doing what he's doing, he doesn't really meet David Kenner under the terms and circumstances in which he met him. I don't know if they knew each other prior to that, but I would think not. You know what I mean? Possibly. But it doesn't even matter which way it goes. David Kenner was Michael Harris's lawyer doing his criminal case and doing, I believe, his appeal processes and things, and him trying to be freed from prison at that particular time, right? So now, Michael Harry O. Harris, David Kenner. You know, most people say, well, yeah, well, I know that. Well, most people don't know that, though. You got to look at people who say, well, yeah, you know, because what they saw, if they were lucky enough to see, if, you know, some people who understood what was going on back then, they saying, okay, cool. You know, David Kenner and Suge Knight. And, you know, David Kenner went and got, you know, Tupac out of jail and got him out on appeal. No, it wasn't Suge Knight's lawyer. It was Michael Harry O. Harris's lawyer. You get it? And so when you go, that's why I think it's so important now that Harry O is part owner in Death Row. You got to think about that for a minute, man. Minus all of the craziness, all of the, the beat downs and, the people, not getting what they were supposed to get, and all of the craziness that was going on involving Death Row at that particular time. You got to go back and say, yo, if it wasn't for Harry O, Death Row never happens like it happened. Harry O was the guy who gave up the money for it to flourish into what it did, to be able to have the space, record the albums, have the budgets, do all of the things, the Chronic, the Doggy Style, all of that, right? To be able to really truly make that the seed that was planted that made Death Row what it was. If you don't have that, then you don't have Death Row, because once again, remember, David Kenner in that video when they were at Monty's Steakhouse, right? No, it wasn't Monty's. It was another spot in Beverly Hills. I can't think of the name of it right now, but chime in if you remember the name, and if it comes to me, I'll say that. But they were at this popular Beverly Hills spot, and David Kenner had spoke on Michael Harry O'Harris, right? And so now, once again, David Kenner comes in, who's the lawyer who can facilitate everything that needs to be done. You know what I mean? Chasins it was. That Chasins was the name. It was called Chasins in Beverly Hills, right? And so he was the one who facilitated everything contractually, all of that, him being Michael Harris's lawyer, going back to him, boom, them talking. And like he said, Michael Harris had talked about, he created Godfather Entertainment, and Death Row was supposed to be a smaller branch of what Godfather Entertainment was in regards to that, right? So now, if you don't have Harry O getting in trouble, you don't have David Kenner being his lawyer, you don't have Suge Knight meeting up with David Kenner through the direction of Harry O and Lydia Harris, right? You don't have Death Row as we know it today. You don't have Tupac actually getting out of jail, right? How he got out of jail, because Death Row was the powerhouse that it was. Had it not been for Harry O's connection with David Kenner, as well as the investment that he was able to give Suge Knight, being facilitated by David Kenner, to be able to give the financial back in the Death Row that was necessary. So a lot of people, like I say, once again, they like to talk about, Suge Knight, David Kenner, Suge, no. If it's not for Harry O, think about that. You have to really, truly, honestly, and for the people, for the intelligent people, they know what I'm saying. So now, let's go to going to get Tupac out of prison, right? All of the paperwork and everything that was done, I showed you that it started way before they initially did that little 5-page agreement, right? There was another agreement in which Tupac agreed that David Kenner alone would be his attorney before they even did that, that gave David Kenner permission to basically look at Tupac's contracts, his publishing, and all of the things that he needed to look at to assess how they were going to be able to recoup any kind of bail money that was put up by Warner Brothers and Interscope had he been able to be released from prison. And after they got the went back to court and got they fought the because the judge denied their first request for an appeal, right? They went back to court, and once Tupac got the appeal, that's when you seen that other page letter come in. But before that, there was this letter, right? So now, once again, you go back to Michael Harris, because David Kenner was Michael Harris's lawyer before David Kenner ever got introduced to Suge Knight. So the reason that Tupac got out of jail, along with Warner Brothers financial help, along with Suge Knight being the, like I said, the president of Death Row. We cannot discredit Suge Knight. People think that I'm trying to discredit Suge Knight. I just like to go to the source. You know what I mean? The source of what's going on. People like to pick up on information that they know based on the YouTube videos that they've seen, based on people making various comments. But I like to go back to the source. Once again, David Kenner was Michael Harris's lawyer before Suge Knight even entered the picture. Michael Harris, David Kenner, Suge Knight, Lydia Harris, boom, formed this company. Suge was supposed to be running Death Row. Michael Harris was a silent partner, if you will. And as we see today, now he is a vocal partner and of the new Death Row that him and Snoop Dogg together own, right? But like I said, go to getting Tupac out of jail. David Kenner was the guy, let's, point blank period, was the guy who facilitated that. David Kenner was also the guy who also facilitated that bail agreement. As you see on the bail agreement, David Kenner's name is right there, right? So once again, that's a product of Michael Harris, Harry O, being who he was. We never see that. We never see David Kenner on the scene if it wasn't for Michael Harris getting to the trouble that he got into at that particular time. So we got to understand that. So when I speak on that, that's what I'm speaking on. So let's take it back. You know what I mean? When we see everything and then you go into, the current trouble that Suge Knight had recently got into, who was there? David Kenner. All of the other cases that Suge Knight had caught that David Kenner was able to get him off on. The one where he allegedly pulled out the gun on the young men after they used the phone at Solar Studios, right? And various other situations that the individuals that were involved over at Death Row that David Kenner was able to handle because he was such a great attorney. Period, right? But when you talk about David Kenner, you got to talk about Michael Harry O'Harris, because Michael Harry O'Harris was the guy who hired David Kenner to defend him in his criminal case. If you do not have that connection, you do not have the Death Row, the legendary Death Row that we come to know today. You do not have Tupac actually being released on Death Row, because we do not have the Death Row that we understand and know what it is today, or should I say what it was when Pac, Dre, Snoop, and all of them, Daz, and everybody, Jewel, Danny Boy, and all. You don't have that Death Row if it's not for Michael Harris being in the trouble that he was in, hiring David Kenner then facilitating all of these other moves, Harry O, Michael Harris once again putting up the money and making it move like it was supposed to move. And that's the reason why Harry O today is now part owner in the new Death Row, and Snoop and Dr. Dre are now working on a new album. Your boy DeLRAY, straight gang.